to order.
I got a big too.
All right, so glad everybody could be here today. I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to Judge Nelson, and I think he has a couple of things for us to look at today.
Yes, we've got 5 different items I'd like to go over with you. The first one is we've got a D6 Caterpillar bulldozer. The lease is up in midsummer, I believe it's July of this year, and it takes about 14 weeks to get the replacement. So I called this meeting as quickly as I could because we need to make a decision and get something in the pipeline. I brought with me, invited Mr. Shane Franklin, which is the Caterpillar representative from Riggs Equipment Company in Jonesboro, and he's going to help kind of guide us through all these different numbers. We've been on a lease plan the last few years, so I'm thinking we may be better off going with a purchase or lease purchase option. And I say that because at the end of every lease, we always end up with a list that's generated by Riggs of parts that need to be replaced or fixed. And so we're bringing that equipment back up to the standards of when we got it. So I'm thinking that we'd be better off using that capital investment for ourselves rather than just turning it back to another company. But he's got 2 or 3 different ways that we can look at to make this more manageable, and I think I'll just go ahead and turn it over to you, Shane. If you'll just let this body know of where we've been, kind of where we're going, and the different options that we have.
Okay. I'm Shane Franklin, Rich Cat. There's a couple of things I wanted to kind of go over. Right now, I just wanted to, on the lease that the county currently has with landfill, the landfill was financed roughly about $430,000 on the machine that they currently have. Roughly about it's about $8,600 a month. That lease is based on around 2,400 hours per year. We looked at the lease hours that's on the dozer and kind of believe that it can kind of come down a little bit and to around 2,000 hours a year. And at the time when Judge Brasfield, we'd done this lease, there were some trade machines, I don't know what you guys remember, that was in that. And she took partial of the money of some of these trades and to help kind to cushion the effect on the pricing on some of this here, which she was big on having all the maintenance, the travels, any outside invoices. She kind of wanted them all rolled in once, a lot easier to budget. So that's where in that $8,600 a month on the dozer that's out there now, there's any warranty travels are covered, any maintenance, it's every 500 hours it's done. We come over and do all the maintenance and to keep the upkeep of the machine in the duration of the lease. That the original price of that machine was around $457,000. When she used half some of that trade-in money on some of those machines that they traded in, that brought it down to around $429,000. So kind of keep that in your mind when we talk about the new numbers here, because that's important. Because over the last 3 years, there's been price increases. Everything's gone up, as you well know, due to the COVID things. So if we rolled in that same program, keeping in mind that 457 number. I'm going to present you this quote that's it's around $478,000 is where that's going to go if you stick in the same type of lease, which is covering your CBA, what we call the CSA travel, to change all the oils, premier warranty on the machine as well, and the warranty travel. That lease number and then bringing it down to 2,000 annual hours per year is going to make your payment go up to around $9,400 a month. So it's a considerable amount of increase, but you don't have that trade money that she used there before either. So that's one proposal, and that's kind of comparing apples to apples. I looked at it a couple different ways for the judge. The next thing that we did is I took the warranty, instead of having a bumper warranty, just done the powertrain, hydraulic, and what they call technical warranty, which that warranty cost, it went from $9,400 a month, or excuse me, $9,400 down to around $5,600. Save you about $4,000, and that brings the payment down to around $9,300 per month. Not much change there. Then we went we took off the warranty travel and any maintenance and just left the powertrain hydraulic tech, and that dropped it down to around $437 on the machine. Payments are $8,200 a month, so that changed it. And then we looked at going to just a outright purchase of the machine. And on the governmental lease, that's basically run the numbers at 60 months, and your interest rate is at 2.99% versus 4% on the lease, because at 4% on the lease, CAT's carrying that liability of that machine, being that it's a lease machine, because at any given time, the way that our laws are written is that if a new county judge comes in, or y'all as administration decide that y'all need to get out of that lease, you can. You know, we hold the liability of that. So that's the reason why the interest rate is higher on that. So judge asked me to run this, and on this 60 month, you have a buyout of $1 you own the machine.
Oh, okay.
That brings that payment to $8,070 a month. Consider, you know, that's less than what you're paying now. But just keep in mind, none of your maintenance is in there, none of your warranty travel is cost is in there as well. So there's, you know, if you have separate maintenance and things of that nature, you just got to figure that in. But like what we talked about too is that is it a smart thing sometimes to do is paying interest on maintenance or travel and things. Now, it can be a wash because we're locking you in for 3 years under that. You know, we're judging about our travel and things and not going up. We're locking you in. That's your continuous payment. It's easy to budget, you know, for. So you got to, I guess, look at all those different angles of what may fit best for the landfill. We know that you should maintenance every 500 hours, and you know, we know the landfill is there is a lot of maintenance in the landfill. As Judge Nelson was explaining too, at the end of those leases, CAT Finance, they have inspectors inspect those machines, and they have to meet certain requirements. No damages need to be done to the machines. Any safety items have to be taken care of. Those, and damages, keep in mind too, is that's warranty will not take care of property damage. Warranty only covers manufacturer defects. So if they break a window, then the landfill's responsible for that. Or if they break a track off, you know, if it's not any, you know, warrantable failure, then they are responsible for that, even as wear items as well. You know, we all wish that when we bought a new vehicle, if we drive down the road and the tires wore out, we could just take it up there and they warranty replace them, you know. It's not that case. So that's what, Judge, we find, you know, as these machines get closer to 5,000 to 6,000 hours on it, they need new undercarriage on them. The tires, basically, on what you would call tires, are getting worn. On the dozer world, and that size of a machine, you're looking at about $30,000 is what that cost. So when he returns these things back in the Caterpillar, there is a percentage worn. And if it's 50% or better, there's no additional charges. But below that, they go off percentage, 50, 40, 30, and on. And they pass that charge off to the people that lease that. You know, if they have to put an undercarriage on it, when they turn it back in, if it's judged that if that undercarriage is 50% or better worn, then the landfill will get a total bill of what it would cost that undercarriage. You know, and I always try to tell the folks, you know, that we lease equipment to, is kind of use time in your front, because you don't want to put a set of new tires on something you just got rid of. You want to kind of be a little bit proactive and get it replaced a little early so you get some full benefit out of it. And then turn it in, make sure it's not all 50% worn out, and then you get, but you're not getting that invoice at the end either, that, the full boat ride on that, so it's,
Which actually happened in this case with this particular bulldozer. We replaced the undercarriage. Do you remember what that bill was?
I don't know, but I would probably safe to say it's anywhere probably 25 to 30. Typically, that's what an undercarriage usually costs.
For some reason I was thinking 50, but it's a great amount of money, and we just replaced that because it was wore out. And so now our lease is up in just 3 more months. And so, I mean, that is money that's absolutely thrown away. And when they come and do their walkthrough and find that things like whether it's glass or a mirror, it's not uncommon to get a bill from them for $40,000. So I'm just seeing this lease is having problems with it, especially the bulldozer that we're getting rid of is a perfectly functioning machine right now.
Now, Judge asked me, under that lease, Cat Finance, when they do those leases, these governmental leases, they do them as a fair market value. So what they think that machine's gonna be worth in the market. And the county won't know until it gets closer to that time for that lease to be up. That's the problem here. But the way I run some numbers on this new machine, and I run them just to see what we call a cat value option lease for the governmental, just to kind of see what cat thinks this new dozer is going to be worth in 3 years. They come this evening to think the dozer is going to be worth around $187,000 on the one that I'm proposing to you. So I'm thinking that's what's somewhere in that ballpark between that 170 to 180 is what cat's going to say in June, probably what they're going to throw on the table, what it's going to take to buy that machine that's there. I did run some scenarios on warranty, because we talked about warranty if the county decided to buy that one. To extend that warranty, you're looking about, if we just went, and all I can do, considering the amount of hours that machine is going to have on it and what it can put on it, all I can do is extend that warranty for 1 year and 2,000 hours. So just a powertrain only is around just a little over $10,000. If we went for powertrain and hydraulics, you're looking around almost right at $15,000. Now, when you look at that, that's really no cost considering if you lost an engine or a transmission, because an engine will cost you around $25,000 to replace an engine itself. So warranty, but it's only good for a year. So going off of what Judge Nelson said, when we looked at on the governmental on the new, the one thing that CAT offers the governmental is if they decide to purchase, I can take that warranty out on a new machine all the way up to 9,000 hours maximum, which is good. So you're covered. Like this machine here wouldn't go out, we're not going to cover that for that amount of time. They'll cover it, since I quoted it at 5 years, 9,000 hours. And like I said, your cheaper interest rate at 2.99 versus 4%. You've already lost this money here on the lease machine. You've already been paying 4% interest plus on all the CSAs and the travels and things like that. I will tell you though, the CSAs, the oil changes and all, they can do that pay as you go. It doesn't, have to be in the contract with the new machine. So that way you don't have to pay that interest rate. And the judge can get out of it at any time too. It's just one of the things that we'll monitor and say, we'll call the landfill down there and say, well, you're ready for a 500-hour service. Do you need us to come do it? It's locked in at a price, but at any given time, he can get out of that. It's not what we would say a written contract. We'll put numbers in front of him, say we can do this year by year, or every 6 months, or however you want to do that. But it's not locked into a lease contract or a sales contract.
So you're saying, so roughly we have 2,000 hours annually, is that right? So it would need to be maintained at least 3 times a year?
We do it we recommend every 500 hours. We do a 500-hour service, 1,000, 1,500, just
Keeps going. And just roughly, how much would one of those services cost?
I don't have that breakdown.
But with the lease, it's included, but with the purchase, it's not, is that
So,
right?
on this particular one here, if we done full 6,000 hours, 36 months, 6,000 hours, this oil changes with travel, air filters, doing it every 500 hours, was roughly just over 26,000 for 3 years worth of services.
What about the interest in the lease and the 4 point to 2 point? How much is the difference in the money saving there?
Well,
From 2.2 to the 4.2?
yeah, we're at 2.99 on the 60, so. I think we looked at those numbers the other day, didn't we, Judge?
Yes.
I don't know if I put them in this email to you here.
Do we currently only have one, if this is the only one we have at the landfills of this particular piece of equipment?
No, we've got another one that's, it's not a 6. You know what that,
It's a 963 track loader.
no, the old one.
Oh, the D6R?
Still don't know.
It's a D6R, which is, it's an old one. It's
Okay.
kind of I call it like an analog machine. It's, but it works really well.
So would the landfill benefit from having the one that's about to lease up if we bought out of that lease and a new one? Is that something that,
What we just need to replace this particular one.
okay.
So if I did my math correctly, I think each service, each maintenance comes to roughly $3,000. So it's not
It's not,
significant, the maintenance part of it. I mean, over the time it is, but not. So, okay, so let's see. So
You still looking for the interest difference?
So
I'm not doing the interest.
Yeah.
Like I'm-
So under your interest, just say if we do the 2.9, I'm using this, let me use this for my figures here. I've got a lot of.
no, it's 2.9, but it's 5 years versus. this
Well,
one's
so-
All right, so I'm gonna use this 448 at 2.99. Your total interest on that is roughly about $35,000 at 2.99.
Okay.
So if I back up and do this total package one at 478.
So this is the lease. We're only saying a percent. Is that right? Because it's 3.9 versus 4.
And, but the time frame, it's gonna probably not be that much
No,
difference.
I don't
By the
think-
time this one's 2 years longer than this one, it's gonna be a pretty
About
close
the
wash.
same.
I would think. Just,
And I'm gonna run this other one at the 3 years, since it's a lease, and it's gonna be at 4.50. And your interest rate is right at 34,000.
it's gonna be a close
Yeah.
wash, yeah.
Okay, so that just kind of washes that out.
Years difference.
Even though, like, we don't take out the contract, or we don't pay for it, financing, and for the oil change and all, you do lock the price in on how much the oil change is?
Yes, yes, that won't change. That won't change from, from what we present here today. And I don't know, guys, if you've got one of these sheets here, and you can pass this around, let me find,
The main difference is the buyout price is what's gonna be.
Because I know these diesel engines, most of them take anywhere from 2 to 3 gallons, some of them more than that
It's gonna be
oil.
that depreciated when that.
So if we see the
I mean,
price
I
of
would buy
oil
it.
go
Well,
up,
that's what
So
I'm
that's-
asking. Do we want to buy
it's
the
not
What-
gonna
what's the
change how
life
much we're gonna
Yeah, I mean,
pay for
how much?
oil change.
When
you'll
it's
see
not-
here,
I
this
mean,
is the state bid
is it gonna
contract
be
that we have to do
worth
for the
zero
state of
after 5
Arkansas.
years?
Okay?
And
So
it's
you'll
gonna
see,
be
the breakdown.
Then there's no
So
benefit
here's
if we don't buy
the,
it.
this is the travel
Right.
for the 6,000
So
and
would it
36 miles.
more
We do
beneficial
100 mile round
to
trip, that's
simply
all your filters
keep the one we
and all,
have?
what that would
That's what I
cost
was
for
trying
that
to
3
say.
years.
And-
Then also we
and
put
wait another-
warranty
If we
travel
could get
in
another
here
year out of it,
as
pay
well.
$187,000.
We think,
That's what I was sitting here
uh,
asking.
Yeah,
so I was
that's
asking.
what.
Judging
yeah,
on
that's-
repairs,
That would be my,
uh,
since we just paid
the
all
amount
that
of
money
miles,
to get it
uh,
fixed.
what,
Right, that was my
hey,
thought.
this
Taking
is
a
kind of
license
a-
year or two, that's what I was.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
if you use it, it's fine.
Let's say
But if you don't, you
what
lost
would
it.
be the
We
issue
don't-
as far
they're
as
not gonna
you
refund you
having
back.
to repair?
If you don't
So
use it.
basically,
Well,
it's-
he
it's
said he could do
because
another year
there's a
on this
problem
one,
with
is
the
that
machine.
right?
You come
On the
out
one
and
that we
fix it,
have?
it's taken out of this amount.
Yeah, as long as it's a warranty.
Yeah, but it was like
As long as it's a warranty.
But if we don't take
As
it,
opposed to
9,000
new.
hours. He said the average was 9,000
Correct.
hours.
but it's
So five
set
years.
under the,
Take
it's still set in the
1,000 miles a year,
contract.
that's 10,000.
So
Yeah.
if we go up
That's
next
gonna
year in our
exhaust the life
prices,
of it.
Yes,
this doesn't change.
Okay.
That's us taking that risk too as well.
we'll do whatever you want to do.
You know, there's risk and reward, you know, through it, do business as well. You know, you are
Just
locked
so you
down on
know.
these prices.
If we buy the current one, he said we could buy it for about 180.
On this one here,
That is the way that
I just done this as
understood
powertrain hydraulic tech. There's also one
That's what
over
he's-
there
that's what
that's
he's-
got the
that's
full,
what I understand.
that's 478.
That's the expectation. He
Premier
thinks that
warranty
that's
that
what they're
covers
gonna
basically
offer.
a
And
machine
that
from
would come
bumper
with
to
an
bumper
additional
replacement.
year
Draw
warranty.
Yeah,
bar.
but there's two different types
Except
of
for
warranty
wear.
though. One was
Except for
10,000
wear.
and one was 15,000.
Yeah, I would say just go with the 15.
So if you took the, if you bought the machine without, and only bought like
So we would have to outbuy it at 180 or just the same
a
finance?
powertrain warranty on
Or
it.
you could buy out?
Well, I think you could probably finance that, I would think.
I got that. That's the one that, the one that we just talked about doing the outright purchase
This one.
So,
would
What's the
be
current
the
amount of
full
the current
condition
one we
here.
have?
Just
That's
has
a great
the,
question too. Judge Nelson, do we have like the current hours on the one that we have?
We do, it's below
Yes, it's a
6,000.
dollar buyout right
So,
there.
And that was a 36-month lease, is that right?
That's
What they
correct.
do here.
So, listen, I mean, do you have any interest in purchasing the one that we have?
Finance, finance.
We talked about that, initially, that's where I was headed, is because it's a good machine that we've got. But,
That number increase there.
the price difference wasn't that great. And if we start back over right now, new, and Shane, if you'll help me with this side of it, because, Justice Jackson was asking about, purchasing the one that we have for about 175,000 versus buying the one that's outright new. You and I had a long conversation over that. We've already expended a certain amount of money in, what was it, that we're not gonna get back?
Undercarriage.
Well, the undercarriage,
Well,
If
as
we
far,
kept the machine,
and
we-
also
we
your
sell it.
interest rate,
it was the interest rate had a lot to do with it. This one will be a cheaper interest rate. I know all of that's in the past, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't, shouldn't affect the way that we view it, but we've already spent a ton of money on that machine, and by buying a new one, and there's very little difference in the payment amount,
Right.
that we would start fresh, and we'd be at a lower interest rate.
The thing of it is too, you gotta keep in mind, our used interest rates right now, if the landfill wanted to buy the used machine, and finance it, which they can, it's gonna be at 4.5%. So, new's 2.99. You know, the old one is gonna be 4.5%, then you're gonna have to, you know, it's gonna be a machine that's gonna have close to 6,000 hours on it. Do you wanna put warranty? I'm just guessing about where their cat's gonna come in. Now, they're, you know, they're saying this one here is worth 180,000 in 3 years. So I'm kinda thinking, you know, that 170 or 180 route in there. Then if you tack a $10,000 to $15,000 worth of warranty on it, that's good for just 1 year. Then you're up there over that close to that $200,000 mark of financing at 4.5%. And however length of term that you want to do that.
And they're only going to, we can only buy the warranty for up to so many hours, and then they,
2,000 hours in 1 year.
right.
So I could go out more years if it was less hours, but 2,000 hours is gonna be the max that they'll warranty that landfill.
So if we purchased extended warranty on, say, the first year, would we be able to purchase a warranty the next time?
Yep.
So that's one of the drawbacks, is we'd be out there on our own.
I see what you're saying. So if we purchase this one, well, okay, but at the end, even if we purchase a new one, the warranty's only good for 9,000 hours, is that right?
Correct.
And then could we do an additional 2,000 on top of the 9?
Well, no, on the brand new one, 9,000 is the max.
Okay,
The used one out there, it's supposed to be 3 years old. I'm going off of if it had 6,000 hours, because I'm doing future, they're only allowing me to put 2,000 hours worth of warranty on it, which he's running about 2,000 hours per year. So that's 12 months or 2,000 hours, whichever comes first.
well, so I guess what I'm saying is if we do the purchase, then we would run out of, the warranty's gonna run out before the 60 months. Because if you say 2 times 5 is 10,
Mhm.
and that's 10,000 hours, so we're gonna run out of warranty, kinda either way you look at it, in the 5th year.
Like I said, this is good for you.
Am I right?
9,000, well, what am
I might be confused.
Well, if we started over, but new now, then we'd have a warranty that would
Yeah,
cover
because
us.
see, your warranty for the 60 month, 9,000 hours,
But it's not gonna cover the whole 60 months if we're doing
Well,
2,000 an hour, or
well,
2,000
it covers
annually.
either one, whichever comes first. But what I want you to bring a point to you though is that 9,000 hours or 60 months, that cost on the new machine is 15,000. The used machine for just 2,000 hours is gonna cost you that.
I see, okay.
Right, but now I think she's the thought process that I am, that makes you wonder, do you go back to looking at the three-year lease versus a 5-year lease to make sure it stays under warranty the entire time it's under lease, right?
Here comes the question, because one of the reasons that we went to this lease of 3 years was because anything you put in that landfill, the life expectancy on it is shortened.
Oh, yeah.
So are we gonna get 5 years out of it?
Right.
Y'all have held it hard, but now it has been through rebuild programs as well. We monitor that, and that machine has been rebuilt, I don't know how many times, but it's been rebuilt several times. I don't have that quite in front of me. I know I've been with Riggs for 30 years, and I think back whenever I was service manager, I think I've done it at least twice when I was in there.
And this is the older one that we have?
No, not the older one, this one right.
No, the older one that we've rebuilt several times.
Oh,
If it's a
okay.
lease, the maintenance is not covered
Because
under it?
Just
my
basic
understanding,
maintenance, but
when
when
we looked
something
at
crazy
leases,
happens.
and I guess it's been about 3 years ago, because everything went to,
He has jumbled
Riggs.
this up.
and
He's terrible.
the problem was that we had older equipment, and putting it in landfill, we were shortening the life on it so much that we were actually expending more by not leasing equipment and putting new equipment in there about every 3 years.
And also, one of the older dozers we had, they quoted us on a new engine for it. It was gonna be like 55,000 at the time.
Hello.
For a brand new engine.
In an old machine.
And an old machine, yes.
Well,
So-
we should ask the judge which way he wants to go, but I do think, here we are, we're at the end of the lease, and if we're not really serious in thinking we want to just buy the one we have, because the numbers, you can do them half a dozen ways and they kind of all come out, but if we're not really interested in keeping the one we have, then I don't really see the benefit
Of
in
the
buying. But, now that's just me, that has,
Well, okay, here you're talking two separate things, really. We've got, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got 2 lease proposals for a new dozer for 3 years. And we've got a purchase proposal that's for 5 years. Well, okay, the issue that I keep going back to is exactly what I was told 3 years ago. We put a brand new dozer in there. Yeah, we can take out a 5-year warranty on it, and we can buy it for 5 years. And what are we gonna have at the end of 5 years? It's gonna be worth half what it is brand new in 3 years.
that's right.
Right.
Now, if it's that hard on it, what's it gonna be worth in 5
Right.
years?
I think we're all on the
I
same
think we're all on the
page.
same page, that 5 years is too long.
I think we're all saying it just in a different way.
I think what we need to be looking at is another 3-year lease, but that's my opinion. You know, but like I say, like you said, it's kind of gonna be up to the judge, but
I mean, that's the only thing I think, if we're not real, I mean, if we don't see the benefit in purchasing the one we have, then why would we purchase one new?
and now I'm looking at payments here, and I don't know what the difference in these two quotes is. One's 764, the quote numbers are
I only have
052 and 764.
What you got?
I've got 052 and 764.
Alright, there's
You got
another one,
041.
041.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
that's
don't
what-
have 041.
So what is the
We don't-
difference in these
Is there any
two
more
quotes?
041s down there?
No, we don't have 041, so we don't
She
even
got
have.
it.
No.
Here's one.
041.
This one here and this one?
Yeah.
All right, this one here's the buy, that's the buy option,
Is that
2.9%, the dollar going.
36.
Okay. Hang on, well, I'm
But
sorry.
these, it's the two
We
36
got
months. What's
A
different?
41 and a 52.
Okay,
One of them is 74,
474.
one of them's 479.
So your 474,
Popeyes. You need the 041.
the biggest difference in these
041.
two here, this one here has the premier warranty, which is gonna be your
And looked it
479.
over.
This one here is just gonna have the powertrain hydraulic technical warranty, which you'll see is about
So this is a
$4,000 less.
purchase. Let's get this
It
correct.
still has all
So
your
many
maintenance.
things.
Purchase over here.
This is a
The
I mean,
purchase.
your
60
travel and
months
all
that I
that.
purchased. I don't think we
Today,
even looked at
this
this.
is
We
what
haven't
you
even
got,
looked at
this is
this?
Oh,
landfill
maybe
permanent
we have.
annex.
I think,
This is
I know
the
this
package
is
that
60
comes
months.
just like
kind
this
of
one
think you get the
said.
30.
Okay.
That's the 052.
These 230.
And that's what I wanted you to keep in mind, that 457 number I told you earlier,
Purchase, lease,
I think we need to go to.
but they wound up putting half, some of that money from that trade to help pay for that because the travel
Well,
and
that's
all
what I'm
that
saying.
went down to 420.
But our payments basically month would be.
Well, how much?
Yeah, don't look at the insurance, this would be
He
easy.
said we've rebuilt it twice,
93.
plus all the,
And then
Is that right?
Yeah.
And we're
So-
talking about.
That's what it said.
Okay.
$13
Basically,
difference.
so I hope y'all can hear down there.
$1,300 a month.
So we've rebuilt it twice, plus
Yeah.
we put an undercarriage in it,
This one
and
here does not
plus
have all the
just the
CSA
regular
damages
500-hour maintenance.
Okay.
there, so.
Lease.
So
I'm
if
thinking-
On
we
the lease. But
compare
now with the
apples to
lease,
apples, we
that
would
that
need to add all
500,
that
like
stuff
it
in.
comes, like the
If you
difference
would
in
buy-
these
if you
two
wanted to buy.
So,
is the warrant, like, the 9968 is the premier, or the 9461 is the premier.
Well, I thought Rick's point was very interesting,
3 years, I
and
was here when
it,
that was happening.
and it could be that may be the factor that we wanna go with and not purchase it. I've kind of leaned toward the purchase, but I certainly understand. The problem I have really with it is just like we put this extremely expensive undercarriage on this machine and we're gonna give it back to them. And let's just say that is 30,000. The other thing is he's gonna walk through it and, I'm gonna suspect they give me a $40,000 list in repairs that we're gonna add to it. So and I'm just going by the history of the road department and the landfill. So that is, say $70,000 that we're gonna lose. And it's frustrating to me because this particular machine has got a landfill package with it. And so, well, anyway, it's just, the expenses on them seem like they continue. The old one that we got, that we run, everybody that comes out there loves it. And it's a whole lot easier to teach somebody how to run a bulldozer on that machine rather than on this one because it's a lot more complex. But I'm willing to go either way. That y'all, I don't have a really strong, I guess, opinion on either direction.
But, so that's why I was getting to as to how much life is left on that one. If they think that it's only gonna cost $175,000 to buy out the lease at the end of the lease, but your same scenario that it may cost us $70,000 just to turn it back in, why wouldn't we consider the $175,000 purchase, if we don't think it has, how much life do we think it would have left in it?
Well, it's based off of the payments on buying the old one that we've got versus the dollar amount per month that would be buying the new one was not that great a difference.
If you-
Can you
Okay,
tell
so
me
you're
that?
talking about with finance
Six
stuff.
thousand
Here's
miles,
the
you're not,
problem with
and it's only
purchasing
maximum is
one
9,000.
Right.
You're only getting a year and a half out of it,
Yes, we
spending
put a new
180,000.
undercarriage on it now.
Right.
But the problem is, problems become systemic. If you purchase this old machine, you know, and we can only get a year warranty, well, you know, what are we gonna do at the end of the year when we're still owed
Right.
for another year on it? And it just completely bites dust, or we end up putting a $55,000 engine in it.
I agree with you, but that's my whole point, is that if we don't think that that's an option we should take, then why is that not the same argument for why we shouldn't take this 5-year contract?
Well,
Because we're
that
gonna run the same
that's
problem.
exactly my argument.
You know what I mean? Like, if that's our thought process.
Yes,
then
I mean,
If that's the thought process, then I would say this
Anything
5
to
years
do
should be completely off the table.
I've
Because we'd be the
always
same problem 5 years down the road.
recommended to my customers,
Yeah.
if you have any inclination of buying a machine, do not go to a lease. Because you're paying higher interest rate on leases, it's just not designed to ownership. A lease is not designed ownership.
And
At least.
what I was doing is some math comparing. If you buy
Sorry,
this
we're not on
one,
the
well, we
committee.
don't take the Premier package. Now, if you go to the Premier package, it's gonna be a little bit different, because you're talking basically, payment-wise, just over $100 a month, so about $3,600 more dollars. But you're gonna spend $336,005.29 over the 3-year period versus $484,239 over the 5-year period. And the problem is, I mean, if this was a road department, the purchase is the way to go, because you're not putting it in that landfill. When you put it in that landfill, even with the landfill package, everybody we've ever talked to, every salesman that's ever walked into one of these meetings and talks to us, tells us, even that putting it in there, and well, I want to ask you, does that hurt the buyback purchase?
Absolutely.
If it was a road department grader versus
Yeah,
this
that's
one, which one will we get more money back on?
You're gonna get more money back on your road department.
The landfill is an extremely harsh environment.
You know, if you're, yeah, that's just my opinion, folks, and that's
But I-
where I go. I would be one with the
Right, so would you wanna do lease?
And to me, it doesn't matter if you buy the Premier warranty or
Right.
just the powertrain. I think the purchase is a mistake, because what we're gonna end up with at the end of 5 years is a grader that
I agree.
goes, if it's wore out, they're not worth anything.
And that's,
I agree.
No,
I
and
think
I'm-
we're all
All right, I
saying the same
think we
thing.
have a motion.
Well, no, I don't know necessarily a motion. This is not, I'm not gonna say a motion,
Look at us.
but this is the thought process of it. Since this is somewhat of a, for lack of better words, a somewhat toxic environment that's basically toxic to metals, I'm thinking that we need to have something where we basically don't own it, because within 3 years, we know what the situation, we will be back here visiting this in 3 years.
I agree.
And we need to have the best possible warranty repair that's gonna benefit us. We may pay a little bit on, this is my thought, we may pay a little bit on the front end, but basically, come 3 years, we gonna be back here looking for something. And Rick, you saying 50 for the undercarriage?
Yeah.
In 1 year, what's gonna happen in 2 years?
Well,
You know,
you know, let me also say
Yeah.
this, you know, the fact that they won't give you 2.9% interest on the 3-year lease,
yeah,
and yes, it's gonna cost us a little more,
yeah.
that tells us that they're saying, hey,
We don't.
we really don't wanna do this.
Right, that's right.
Because we're gonna lose money.
Right.
Okay.
I'm thinking door number 2.
So do I hear any motions?
Motion not to purchase
Oh.
current. Motion not to buy current equipment.
So Justice Mangan has made a motion to continue with the 36-month lease. Do you have did you have a preference on whether to go with the upgraded warranty or?
The
I
premier
think we should
warranty.
do
The premier
Bumper to
warranty.
bumper
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
that's
just
the
I don't
052.
think so. I just do the minimum.
The powertrain.
Okay,
Maybe
so
we
that's
do the
041.
powertrain.
Because
Okay.
we're gonna end up fixing a lot of that.
Okay, is it, do I have
Yes, we
a
will.
second?
I say, all the ones.
Okay, we got a second. Is there any further discussion about
I
it?
appreciate you coming.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, we'll send it on to finance, let them discuss, is that right? So- Or does it have to go to finance?
Is it already appropriated?
36.
Let's see, this is what the, I'm just trying to make sure that we get this in before, well, let's see, we've got enough hours left on that machine if we're a month or two.
I think we should be okay, we just need to look at the hours on, the current hours on it. That we.
Let's go ahead and move it to finance
Okay.
and then we'll go from there, which will be, what date is our finance meeting?
Let's see.
April? 1, 2, 3, 4, should be the 19th of April.
Now, did they wanna do the?
Yep.
With the warranty travels and stuff in it?
And then,
Yeah.
Or they just wanna
yeah.
use the
And then we meet on the 27th,
All right.
19 and 27.
That's one of the things I think I
You
need
can-
to pay for.
I would just, because to me,
We'll just go ahead and pose that, then that
Okay.
question. We got one more
Oh,
issue.
okay.
so, onto this lease. and What we talked about is these CSAs with the travel and the air filters, all the oil changes, and also warranty travel as well, because you're locked in at this certain price for the entirety of that lease, and you're financing it in. Now, of course, you're paying interest on that. Is this something that you want to finance in going forward, or do you want to pay as you go?
Okay, I'll stick my 2 cents. first.
Okay, let's hear.
I would not, because if it's already under contract through the state, we're gonna be paying the same price, no matter what, and we're gonna get the same mileage rate. The only thing we're gonna do is save paying the 4.5% interest on it for the next 3 years.
Makes sense. Okay.
Which is unnecessary.
Yes, I agree with you there.
It just makes it easier to budget, that's the reason why we throw that option in there, but.
We want it, but you'll just bill monthly for it.
Exactly,
Okay.
we'll build it
Okay.
as we come, we'll get a bill through the mail.
All right. Think we,
And then, so the finance will meet the 19th,
yes.
and if you'll call me the next day, then,
What I'm gonna do is let me leave this one with you, because this is what,
Have,
Well, I was
the full
thinking-
court on the 27th. So the 28th?
yeah, we'd need to go all the way through the corn court, so, it'll be the very end of April.
okay.
That'll give us May, June.
We're already making.
We already got 7
We just have to increase it by the amount.
Okay, I think we're done if you, did you
All right.
vote on it?
We
Yeah, they
did,
did.
Okay.
yes. So, okay, so we'll move on to the engine for the red Ford Ranger.
And now, are you clear on what, we want? Okay.
If you'll do
So we went with 36 months,
Okay.
basic warranty. I know it, I'm putting all the generator.
I got one of those.
Okay.
Now, that's correct, right? 36 months, basic
Let me
warranty.
sign it after.
I got a whole house.
Which was 41?
So these
It
are
was
mine.
41, correct?
And I'll just need to, give me the green light on Mark.
Yes.
And I'll
Yes,
bring
it's
up
40.
your signature on it.
Okay, all right. I appreciate you coming.
Yes, sir, can I do?
If you
I
want
had
to,
that
if you don't want to hear the
because
rest
I'm
of
totally
this,
left.
I can fix it out.
yeah, or you stay. and whatever you want to do.
Thank you for, thank you all.
Other than that.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on.
Confuse us enough? You confused us.
Before we get to the little red truck, I was going to just keep everybody informed about what's going on out there as well. We've got a diesel truck that would not start. Sometimes it would start, but it wouldn't run from me to you. And so we ended up towing that to a diesel repair shop in Jonesboro. They called me and told me it was ready. I asked them what we owed them, and they said it's $108.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what I said, there's something wrong. So what had happened was, it that had run over something at the landfill, and then that harsh environment we're talking about, and it had crimped the exhaust system. So it wasn't getting any air, so it could start. So all they did was they cut the exhaust system in two right there. So anyway, I had it towed to a muffler shop in Jonesboro on Stadium Drive. They're doing that work right now, and it should be back in good shape. And I don't think that that's going to be of any great expense. The little red truck you brought up, that is a Ford Ranger. It's got 147,487 miles on it. It's 2007. It is at Jackie Riggs here in Mississippi County. The motor's out on it, so it's going to have to be replaced. We can get a used motor at no warranty for $2,200, or we can get a new motor for $3,850 with a 3-year, 100,000 mile warranty. In my opinion, for what it's worth, and I'm thinking of myself in private business outside of government, is I don't think I'd put a motor in a 2007 with 150,000 miles on it.
I wouldn't, I mean.
And I don't have a price what that vehicle would cost to replace, but let's just say $25,000 would get us a long way, I think, in the future. Now, whether we make this thing run with a new one or a used one and then trade it or auction it, or whether we just move it to the side and buy another one, or buy the used engine or the new one, that's what I brought before y'all today to see what you wanted to do.
Well, so even with the new engine, do we have a value of the 2007 with the 147,000 miles on it?
No, I do not know what the blue book is on it.
What else would go wrong?
$2,200.
Pardon?
What else would go wrong with this?
If it was mine, the transmission would be right next
because we
month.
could have-
No, I don't think it works like that. So,
What I was thinking.
well,
I've been down that road.
I don't do use stuff, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think we should maybe look at a couple different options on there.
All right, then I'll get some numbers on what it would cost on a government contract to replace that. The next item is, we're in need of a transfer pump. If you look at the Google map that I had passed out, it shows the landfill. And if you look right down here, I took a blue ink pen and drew a line through this area right here. And this is the new cell that we're constructing now. And what we did was we had went in and put a berm and bisected that cell. And the reason for that is when we start putting our trash and refuse in, we'll start on the east side. And when we have rain that comes in, the rainwater will then be classified as leachate. And so we'll have to pump that out and carry it and have that water treated. The water that's on the west side will be stormwater. So in other words, it's gonna save us money.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we've got 2 transfer pumps right here in the very middle of the east side right now that's keeping that empty. We're gonna need another transfer pump to put on the west side to keep the stormwater out because it is continually building up now. And as we get into the rainy season, eventually it's gonna break over that berm, and when it does, it's gonna erode it, and then it'll all be classified as leachate. So, and I handed you out this sheet right here, which is gonna show a 4-inch transfer pump. I'm relatively sure that that's the one that they had in mind. I couldn't get a hold of them when I was printing this off to bring to you. But I was told it was $2,800. I think that one is showing something less than that. It may be the shipping and some of the other But this gives you a general idea of what we'd be purchasing. It's a 4-inch water transfer pump. It's gonna go on the west half of the new cell.
I think it's a great idea. Just out of curiosity, I don't know if any of the new justices really understand, so we have to pump that leachate out and people have to we pay to have it hauled off.
Right.
So how much just by putting that berm in there do you think we're gonna save a year? You have any
I
idea?
had all those numbers at the beginning. I'm not sure I could bring it up right
It is,
now. But
it's
it was a great idea.
a tremendous
and-
amount,
And
yeah, it really
JT, I
is.
believe, is the one that come up with that. And by cutting that in half, it's gonna save us not only the money, but the trips over there.
I mean, it will certainly pay for.
And we'll
the
be in it
pump.
for several
Yeah.
months before that, we need to open up the other half.
Yeah.
And when we do, we'll just take that berm out, and then it'll be all one cell.
Yeah, it was a tremendous savings. It seems like
Yeah.
you told me those numbers.
Just our class and winter class.
Just class 1.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we won't pump leachate on the floor.
do you want to make a motion to purchase?
So that's $2,800.
I like the motion that we purchase the pump for,
For the west side of the landfill.
for the west side of the landfill.
Okay.
Motion that we purchase.
I second.
All right, is there any discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will send that, does that need to,
I don't think so.
okay.
Blue Book value, and this is Justice Fleetman that just handed it to me on the truck, will be anywhere from $1,200 to $2,500.
On the
Yeah.
register.
She put the money in, it's gonna be 20.
So I,
It was in
yeah,
fair
so,
condition, and that was the lowest of the
Yeah.
bunch.
Right now, it's really
Like I
not
said,
working.
20.
It's probably not. And that's standard equipment, so.
yeah, so, okay. All right, now did that need to go to finance as
I don't
well?
think,
That's in
probably the biggest problem in this is, as you probably all know, the landfill was in not good shape financially 2 years ago. But in much better shape now. The cash flow is there. We ended up with over $1 million in revenues over expenditures at the end of this year, just like we did at the end of last year. And to give you an idea about the conditions that we was in, the class 1 that we're abandoning right now, or we're temporarily leaving, we had a bond issue there that's gonna go on for the next 6 years. We're gonna be paying it and while we're leaving it. And the one that we're opening now, not only that one, but also a new class 4, we paid cash with.
That's right.
So we are in much better financial shape now than we were 2 years ago. At the same time, we're not out of the woods yet. We've got to get in a position to where we're establishing funds for post-closure fees and for those fees that's associated when you move from one cell to another. Because this one is gonna actually be one of 4 on the lower level. And so we've got this one that we're finished with right now temporarily. We're gonna move just to the east of it, and then we'll move to the south, and then we'll move to the west. And then we will come back in and we'll start back over the top, so all 4 of those at the same time. And we'll raise it up to a level that's very comparable to the class 1 that we just closed out 2 years ago. That's the one you see from the interstate so well.
Is there one, and so is there another one that closed, or we had to reclose, or had to?
No, that's the great big one that you can see like going down the interstate. That's the one that we're in the final stages of
Okay.
post-closure.
Okay.
We're gonna end up with like a rubber coating over probably the top third of it.
Gotcha.
And that'll keep any leachate or any rainwater from turning into leachate, or at least reduce it by a significant amount. We won't be working that cell as much.
Okay.
So, with that being said, and our financial condition, like I said, is much better, but we only have $100,000 in equipment, or really any purchases, what we're talking about. So we're gonna expend a significant portion of this money that we've talked about here today. So keep that in mind. We'll be fine this month. But as the year progresses and we run into other things, just keep in mind that we may be in a position where we do need to go, look this thing over very carefully and then move something to finance.
All right.
In fact, let's see, this, well, we'll have to move to finance for the D6, but I think the rest of this we can take care of with what we've been budgeted. And then one more item is we had 2 slots come open in the last 2 weeks. We've got those slots filled right now. They're not out there on site. I think they're waiting on the results of some of the application process, but I think they'll be out there on the site in the next week or 2.
Okay.
But I think that takes care of everything that I wanted to bring here before you. But everything's going very well. If anybody wants a tour of the landfill, and I don't know why you laugh. It's an amazing place.
No, I always
very
say I'm
busy
gonna go
place.
out there and see it.
And I'd be glad to take, I took Justice McClanahan out there a month or so ago. And, I think everybody needs to see it and be aware of not only how important it is, how much we value it, but how much the rest of the county.
Yeah, no, it's a tremendous operation. So tell me, okay, and we set a date for the cleanup, is that correct?
That is correct.
On the 24th.
Cindy, what-
I'm looking at my calendar.
It's April 24th.
24th, I think.
yeah, I think that's right.
The 24th from 7 to 12?
Yes.
Okay, and so tell it, and people can just bring anything and everything on that day, or how does that work?
Individuals are free, municipalities get 50% discount,
Okay. Fantastic.
And what was the time on it?
7 till noon.
Okay, is there any other business? If not, then
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
all right, we stand adjourned.